What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the SPY, the Nasdaq, the futures, and the indices, break down what the charts are telling us, and why tomorrow is going to be a very big day as PCE is coming out, and why the technicals are actually suggesting we might get a bounce very soon in the markets. Now, before I break anything down about that, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each valued at up to $3,000. And the best part is any could be a free NEO share, a free Tesla share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 5 days, so make sure you check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So anyways, when it comes to the data, I want to note some very important things. Tomorrow morning, we have some very, very big data coming out. We have PCE inflation coming out. Right now, we're expecting it to be at around a forecast of 4.8%, and we want core to be at about 4.3% year over year. Month over month, the expectation is about 0.4%. That's what we want. And right now, the data is suggesting it might be either as expected or a little bit high. And I want to note that because of the fact that PCE was not PCE, I'm sorry, CPI was a little bit hot, so was PPI. PPI was very hot when it came out, suggesting that inflation is likely going to increase, and we're going to see another increase very, very soon. What else is interesting is if you look at the core PCE price index, you could notice that in the last 4 bars, right? I can't actually hover over them because this little thing pops up. So I'm going to move my cursor. Look at the last 4 bars. You will notice that it's been going down and down and down and down, and we haven't actually seen like a bit of a rebound in quite a while. And the market right now is suggesting a rebound is going to come. So I'm just wondering how this is actually going to play out. And I really believe it's important for us to be very, very cautious. Now, what technicals are telling us, though, is very interesting. Because look, even though the data might be either as expected or even a little bit hot, I want to note to everyone that the technicals are telling us the market actually may have some upside coming. Because look at what happened on the hourly time frame. We have SPY making a lower, this is like a lower low right here, another lower low, another lower low, and then the RSI, we have a low here, a higher low, and then it's continuing to go. So there's a divergence right over here between the RSI and the SPY chart that is suggesting that we might get a bounce very soon, or it might continue to like decline first and then try to bounce. That's very possible. And I'm eyeing this area right here. I don't know if we're going to come all the way up to the gap fill near that like 407 zone. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it is a possibility. And I think we should all be prepared for that just in case. Now, another thing that's worth noting is just because technicals are showing this, it doesn't mean we have to just like explode and just continue going. We could get another move kind of like what happened during the last December CPI, where the market kind of gapped up, pushed up a little bit, maybe fills this gap. Then we have like an island reversal where it's like, okay, we're pushing up, and then we end up failing, and then the market just starts tanking after that, right? That's also another possibility. But like I said, okay, I can't predict what's going to happen. You have to be prepared for upside and downside. On the upside, if we break out of 402, we're going to test 404, break that, then we're going to fill the gap, get to this 406 to 408 area, likely get stopped somewhere between there. Now, if we're bearish, we're going to be watching 397, then 396.25. If those both fail, then we're going to come all the way down to 393, then 390, then the 387 area. So as you can see, there's a lot of room for us to go either way. Even though, we're getting lots of readings that a PCE is likely going to be hot, I believe it's either going to be as expected or even a little hot. But my instincts, if you want to use that word, would be telling me that it's going to be as expected. And I think the market might temporarily bounce for maybe like a day, just to trick a lot of people, especially because it's a Friday and the market makers do manipulate, especially at the last minutes. So my prediction is this. When you look at the VIX, notice how we're almost closing. We're actually about 20 minutes before close. The VIX is getting close to filling this gap. It hasn't actually filled this gap. What I'm thinking is this. I think the market's going to get a rally maybe tomorrow. We might see the market bounce tomorrow, and the VIX is going to end up filling its gap because of that. Implied volatility like drops. And then the VIX is going to bounce very soon, and this thing is going to continue to break to the upside, meaning that for the stock market, okay, this bounce is going to be minuscule compared to the bigger trend. Could we bounce tomorrow? I think the technicals are a little bit more likely to show that that's more likely to happen. I'm prepared for anything just in case, by the way. I'm not promising anything, but I think it's a little bit more likely we're going to push up off PCE maybe temporarily. And we should have a move, at least one move where we make a move to the upside. But just because we do get a small bounce and we try to push up a little bit, look at the bigger trend. On the daily chart on SPY, this is clearly bearish. We have this clear MACD crossover. We have this clear bearish momentum that's building up. We have the RSI declining. What's happening is the bears are going to take a breather. They're going to take a break because nobody could just short eternally forever. They're going to take a break, let the market push up, reestablish their short positions, then smack us down even lower later on over the next few weeks. I believe that is what the plan is. All right. So I'm just trying to make it clear, even if we get the bounce, the bigger picture is still more on the bearish side. Now, for the triple Q, what's going on? We have something very similar. On the hourly time frame, there is also the QQQ actually does not have the same trend. Let me actually double check this. Actually, we are technically we have a similar trend. I think we actually, yes, we actually do have a divergence technically. It's very different though. We actually are very flat here. The QQ got rejected off the exact same place. We have a double bottom bounce. Whereas on the RSI is respecting an uptrend, the RSI is technically forming a divergence from the triple Q, which is telling me that we might try to fill this gap, which is actually only at like 300. That's not that far from where we are. We're currently at 297. Now, could we go even higher and try to get this gap at 303? That's also a possibility. It's got to be one of those two. But either way, I'm not looking at this as an area to buy. This looks more like an area to just start establishing more short positions for the longer term. Not financial advice, by the way. And also, please be prepared for anything at the same time. Just because technicals are telling us this, it does not guarantee that this is going to play out. There's always the possibility of the opposite, and you need to be prepared just in case. All right? Odds are favoring upside, but I just want to note to everyone, if we do break down, watch 294, 292, 290. Resistance, the next major resistance is at 300. Then we have 304, then 308. All right? So be prepared for anything, but just know the odds are favoring a move to the upside. Once again, SPX is almost the same as SPY. I don't need to talk too much about that. On Tesla, I'm not really seeing, let me double check this. I'm not really seeing a big divergence right here. We have 35, we also have a 32. Yeah, so I'm not really seeing the same kind of divergence. We did have this falling wedge-like structure, which Tesla's trying to break out of. I did mention that that's a possibility yesterday. And now it's looking like Tesla might try to keep going and start approaching this like 210 area around there. It is possible Tesla might try to keep going tomorrow if the market bounces. So if Tesla's bearish, watch 200, watch 198, watch 194, then 189 to 187. If Tesla's bullish, watch 205, 209, then 215. I think what's most likely to happen based off technicals is we're going to try to push up. But once again, be prepared for anything because PCE is very capricious. But odds do favor Tesla trying to break above 205. Finally, for Microsoft, similar trend. Microsoft looks like it might try to go for this gap fill right here. I don't think we fully filled it in this 257 area. We also have a gap up here, just like the triple Q, around the 262 area. Could we go that high? I mean, it is a possibility, but either way, even if we do fill those gaps, I do see more downside to come. The odds are favoring that. The bearish possibility would be coming down to 250. Once again, be prepared for that just in case. For Apple, the bearish possibility is 147, but we are likely going to try to get this gap filled around this 152 area. You could see Apple's just fighting, trying to break out of that 150. We might just get it tomorrow. And I don't know if it's going to be a small rebound or a big one. I really don't know how big the bounce is going to be, but I do believe it's very possible, and I want you to be prepared for that. The dollar is currently pretty flat. I do believe the dollar is, it might remain flat, maybe even decline a little tomorrow, but overall, the bigger trend is still bullish. The much larger trend is still breaking out. And I believe the dollar is going to try to continue to break out, meaning that overall, like I said before, even if the market gets a small bounce, overall it's still more bearish because the dollar is continuing to break out. The dollar is going to continue to push. For Amazon, the big Amazon out there. What I'm seeing is Amazon does have a possible head and shoulders developing here. It might try to bounce tomorrow and try to get back to like 100 first. It could retest 100 and then continue to decline later on. But this is looking like a daily head and shoulders like pattern. It might try to bounce to about 100 once again and then end up coming down. Overall, it's not looking as great as some other tech stocks out there. 10-year yield, we're actually seeing, hold on. What I'm essentially seeing is it got a rejection off a key resistance around 39. It's actually, it broke above it, then came right back down. It's starting to decline a bit, once again, bullish for the stock market, but I do believe it's going to find a very, very good support area and then get a nice bounce after that. Where could this thing bounce at? This is going to be a little tricky to call. There is this gap down here at 35. I don't know if it's going to come down that much. That would be pretty crazy, actually. I would say that gap fill is a possibility, but the next major level, it could actually come all the way down to this 37 area, all the way down there. So if it does decline, this could be bullish for the stock market temporarily. But then once it bounces, whether this is a small decline or a bigger one, I don't truly know. But once it bounces, it's going to likely continue to go up as the yields are continuing to tighten, as the Fed is once again becoming more hawkish and the bonds market is pricing that in. We do have this gap up here. I do think it's going to get to the 40s very soon. We first have to break this resistance, which I think is going to happen later. So this is telling me the market's going to likely push up a little bit, maybe just a little bit. Then this thing will bounce and break back to 40. The market will come down later on. All right. So temporarily, for the super short term, maybe the market gets a bounce. For the medium term, I see the market seeing way more downside. I want to make that as clear as possible for everyone. Then we had the monster today, Nvidia. This thing is up, wow, 14%. That's impressive. After that very interesting earnings where they mentioned AI a million times. Very, very funny stuff. But anyways, this thing is pushing up, all right? Awesome to see. 240 is the next key level. We are a little bit on the overbought side though. So be very careful. This is not the best of places to enter. And we are forming some very big gaps. On the daily time frame, I want to note that so far, the trend is still kind of strong. I wouldn't necessarily say it's completely bullish just yet. The daily MACD has not flipped just yet. I do expect this to maybe try to push up a little more if it does happen tomorrow, but eventually, later on, I do see this slowly declining and filling this gap again and coming back down to the levels that we saw very, very recently. I know that's unfortunate, but that's what the charts are telling me. And that's basically what I have for this video. So thank you all so much for listening. Have a great rest of the day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys in the next one. The market to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. And peace out.